The twin moons of Tarvax 9 hung low in the violet sky. The alien market below shimmered with lights, colors, and voices from every world. Humans and aliens traded goods, argued over prices, and shared food that smelled of metal and spice. Among them moved one man who didn't belong. His name was Agent Cole. On the outside, he looked calm, just another tired human traveler wearing a long coat and a quiet face. But behind the coat was a hidden badge, and behind the calm eyes, a mission. Cole was an undercover cop, hunting for smugglers who sold forbidden tech across the border worlds. His earpiece buzzed softly. Target approaching. 2 females. Purple skin. Younger one carrying something. Cole turned his head slightly. Through the crowd, he saw them. 2 alien girls, both with smooth violet skin and silver hair that caught the market light. The older one walked fast, holding a small bag close to her chest. The younger one limped beside her, weak and pale. Cole followed, quiet as a shadow. The girls entered a side street between tall metal walls. It was darker there. Vendors whispered, eyes turning away. The place smelled of dust and oil. Cole's instincts tightened. Something was wrong here. A shout broke the silence. "Stop them. They're wanted!" Before Cole could react, 2 armored patrol guards rushed forward, grabbing the older alien girl by the arms. She struggled, kicking and crying out, but they held her tight. The younger sister fell to the ground, coughing hard. Cole stayed back for a second, watching the scene unfold. The girl's voice echoed through the alley, soft but full of fear. "Please, don't arrest my sister. She didn't do anything." The guards ignored her. One of them raised his baton. "She's a thief. Orders from Central." Cole frowned. Something about this didn't feel right. He had seen thieves before, but these 2 didn't look like criminals. The older one, her name was Lyra if the reports were right, was trembling, not defiant. Her sister, Neri, looked sick, maybe dying. He stepped closer, keeping his voice steady. "What's the charge?" One guard turned to him. "Back off, stranger. They're property thieves. Dangerous ones." Cole's eyes narrowed. Property thieves? That didn't make sense. He had been tracking a shipment of illegal biotech chips, not poor girls. The pieces didn't fit. Then Lyra looked up. Her golden eyes met his. They were full of pain and something else, hope. In that one look, she silently begged him to understand. "Please," she said softly. "She's not a criminal. She just wanted medicine." Cole's hand moved to his hidden badge but stopped halfway. He couldn't reveal himself yet. If he did, the guards might notice the symbol on it. Human authority wasn't welcome here. The younger sister coughed again, blood on her lips. Cole felt his chest tighten. "Let her breathe," he said, trying to keep his tone casual. The guard scoffed. "You want to defend aliens now, human?" "You don't know what they are." Cole did know. He had studied the alien refugees for months. Most were harmless, running from wars humans had started. But these girls, there was something special about them. The older one carried that bag too carefully. He could sense it wasn't money or drugs. It was evidence. When the guard shoved Lyra again, something inside Cole snapped. He stepped forward and caught the man's wrist. "That's enough," the guard glared.
"Who the hell are you?"
"Someone who hates bullies," Cole said quietly. Before things could explode, Lyra grabbed her sister and pulled her free. "Run!" she shouted. The 2 aliens dashed down the alley, disappearing into the fog. The guards cursed and chased after them, but Cole stayed back for a moment, pretending to lose sight. His communicator buzzed again. "Agent Cole, report. Did you see the targets?" He hesitated. "Negative. They slipped away." Static crackled, followed by the cold voice of command. "You'll get another chance. Orders are clear. Purple ones are dangerous. Capture or eliminate." Cole froze. Eliminate? That word hit him like a punch. These weren't criminals, they were kids. Something was very wrong with this mission. He turned off the communicator and looked down the foggy street where the girls had fled. Somewhere in the distance, he heard the sound of metal doors closing. They were hiding now. Cole knew he should call for backup. He knew the rules, but instead he followed their trail quietly, one hand resting on his holster. His instincts screamed that this wasn't a normal arrest, it was a cover-up. The deeper he went, the quieter the city became. The bright lights of the market faded into darkness. Only the sound of wind echoed through the old tunnels. He found a small piece of cloth torn on a nail, purple fabric with strange symbols stitched into it. He pocketed it and whispered to himself, "Who are you, girls? And what are you running from?" At that same moment, far below the city, Lyra sat beside her sister in a cold metal tunnel. Neri's breathing was shallow. The bag beside them glowed faintly, the light of some unknown device pulsing like a heartbeat. Lyra whispered, "He didn't report us." "The human didn't tell them." Neri looked up weakly. "Then maybe. Not all humans are monsters." Above them, Agent Cole stood on the edge of the tunnel, watching their faint light in the distance. He knew one choice would destroy his career, but something inside told him it was the right one. He stepped forward into the darkness. That night, the human cop stopped being a hunter and became part of the story he was meant to erase. The tunnel was dark and cold. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing through the metal pipes. Lyra held her weak sister close as they moved deeper into the shadows. Every sound made her heart beat faster. Behind them, the city lights had vanished. Only the small glow from the bag guided their path. Neri's breath was shallow. Her purple skin looked pale in the dim light. "Lyra, I can't walk anymore," she whispered. Lyra stopped and helped her sit beside a broken pipe. "Just a little more," she said softly. "We're almost safe." She opened the bag and pulled out a small silver cube. The cube blinked with faint blue lights. She pressed her hand against it, and a narrow door slid open in the tunnel wall. Inside was a small chamber filled with strange machines and a cracked hologram screen. Dust floated in the air. This was one of their old hiding spots, forgotten by everyone except them. Lyra helped her sister lie down and covered her with a thin thermal sheet. As Lyra checked Neri's pulse, a faint sound echoed behind them. Footsteps. She froze. Her hands trembled as she reached for the broken plasma knife hidden in her boot. Then a quiet voice came from the shadows. "You shouldn't stay here. They'll find you." Lyra turned fast, weapon ready. A tall figure stepped into the weak blue light. It was the human, Agent Cole. His coat was wet, his face calm but serious. "You followed us," Lyra said sharply. "I had to make sure you were safe," Cole replied. "Those guards weren't arresting you. They were hunting you." Lyra didn't lower her weapon. "You're one of them," she said. "A cop." Cole didn't deny it. "I was. But now I'm not sure what I am anymore." He looked at Neri, who was barely conscious. "She's dying." "Let me help." Lyra hesitated. Every instinct told her to run. But her sister's life mattered more than fear. Slowly, she nodded. Cole stepped closer and opened a small pouch. He pulled out a medical injector, one used by human field agents. He knelt beside Neri and injected a clear serum into her arm. After a few seconds, her breathing became stronger. Lyra's eyes softened, her weapon lowering a little. "Why are you helping us?" she asked quietly. Cole sighed. "Because I was told to find you and bring you in. But now I see you're not criminals. You're survivors." Lyra looked away, her voice trembling. "We stole data from the human lab on Arc Station. They were using alien children for experiments. My sister escaped. They called her dangerous because she knows too much." Cole's jaw tightened. The pieces were falling into place. The mission report hadn't said anything about experiments. It had called them terrorists. He realized now how deep the lies went. "So they want you silenced," he said. Lyra nodded. "They want the truth buried." Cole looked around the chamber. Old circuits hummed weakly. On the wall, a broken screen flickered to life. A message appeared, half corrupted but still clear enough to read. Order 17. Neutralize all purple-class test subjects. Priority Alpha. Cole stared at the words. Neutralize. That meant kill. Lyra saw his face change. "Now you understand," she said softly. Cole turned off his communicator. "Then we need to move before my team tracks us." Lyra frowned. "You'd turn against your own kind?" He looked at her with steady eyes. "If my kind is doing this, then yes." For a moment, silence filled the room. Only the soft hum of the machines could be heard. Then Neri opened her eyes, weak but alive. "Lyra, who is he?" Lyra looked down at her sister, then at the human. "Someone who hasn't betrayed us yet." Cole reached into his coat and pulled out a small round device. It blinked red. "They're scanning this sector. We've got 10 minutes. Lyra helped Neri stand. "Then we run again," Cole nodded. "But this time you're not running alone." Together they stepped out into the tunnel's blue fog. The air buzzed with electricity. Far above, drones searched the streets, their lights slicing through the night. As the three shadows moved through the underground, Lyra glanced at the human beside her. She still didn't trust him completely, but something about his calm, Quiet eyes made her believe, maybe for the first time, that not all humans were monsters. And somewhere deep inside the city, a silent signal blinked. A hidden tracker had just been activated. Someone knew exactly where they were heading. The hunt had only begun. Cold wind rushed through the tunnels as Lyra, Neri, and Cole kept walking. The air smelled of rust and smoke. Their footsteps echoed softly, and the sound of machines above reminded them they were being hunted. The city was alive, but down here it felt dead. Cole carried Neri on his back. She was lighter than he expected, fragile like glass. Lyra walked beside him, her knife still in her hand, her eyes watching every corner. She didn't trust him yet. Not fully. How far is your next safe place? Cole asked quietly. Lyra looked ahead. Past the water pipes. There's an old service hub. No scanners work there, Cole nodded. Good. We'll rest there. They walked for almost an hour through tight passages, stepping over broken metal and glowing moss. Finally, Lyra stopped before a half-collapsed gate. She pressed her hand against the wall. The same silver cube from before lit up, and the gate slid open with a hiss. Inside was a wide chamber filled with machines covered in dust. Old control panels blinked faintly, and wires hung from the ceiling. It wasn't safe, but it was quiet. Cole laid Neri down on a blanket and checked her pulse. She was breathing better, but still weak. She needs food, he said. Lyra opened a small pack and handed him a sealed ration. It's not much. Alien nutrient bars, he smiled faintly. Better than what I had at the academy. For a moment, they both sat in silence. The soft blue light from a broken monitor painted their faces. Lyra watched him carefully. You could have turned us in, she said. Why didn't you? Cole leaned back against the wall. Because what they're doing is wrong. My orders were to find you, not to kill children. But when I saw your sister bleeding, I knew this wasn't justice. It's control. Lyra looked down at her hands. You think one human can fix this? No, he said. But I can try to make sure you survive long enough to tell the truth. Her eyes softened a little. And what do you want in return? Cole looked at her calmly. Information. I want to know what's in that bag you keep guarding. Lyra hesitated. She opened the bag slowly and pulled out a small crystal drive. It glowed with soft green light. This holds everything. The lab records, test results, names of the humans who ordered the experiments. They were trying to make hybrid soldiers. My sister was one of them. Cole's face hardened. She was part of it? Lyra nodded. They said she was a success, but her body couldn't handle the human DNA they forced into her. She escaped before they erased her memory. I stole this before they caught us. Cole rubbed his temples. If this gets out, every human officer on Tarvax 9 will be hunted. The government will call it fake. Lyra smiled bitterly. Then why help us? Cole looked straight at her. Because someone has to stop pretending. I've seen enough lies. The sound of a small explosion echoed in the distance. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lyra turned sharply. They found the tunnel entrance. Cole stood, drawing his blaster. We can't stay here. Lyra picked up her sister's bag. There's another exit through the drainage system. Neri stirred weakly. Lyra, you should leave me. I'll slow you down. Lyra's voice cracked. I will never leave you again. Cole looked at both sisters. We move together or not at all. They ran through the side passage as smoke filled the old chamber. Behind them, drones entered, scanning the heat signatures. Cole fired at one, the explosion lighting the dark like lightning. As they reached the end of the tunnel, Lyra stopped and faced him. If we survive this, human, you'll have the truth you want. But until then, we stay alive together. That's the deal, Cole nodded. Deal. They climbed out into the night air above the city. Neon lights painted the rooftops red and blue. Sirens wailed in the distance. Cole looked up at the stars and felt something strange. Hope. For the first time, he wasn't just following orders. He was fighting for something real. And somewhere in the city's upper towers, a cold voice whispered through a communicator. The human has joined the targets. Eliminate all three. The hunt was far from over. Night wrapped the city in cold mist. Cole, Lyra, and Neri found shelter inside an old warehouse near the abandoned docks. The place smelled of oil and salt. Broken ships lay scattered outside like bones of forgotten giants. Inside, dim lights flickered weakly from old lanterns that Cole had found. Neri was asleep on a pile of blankets. Her breathing was calm now. Lyra sat beside her, cleaning her plasma knife while Cole checked his weapon. Neither spoke for a long time. Only the distant sound of waves filled the silence. Lyra finally broke it. "You said you were a cop," she whispered. "Then why do you keep looking over your shoulder?" Cole didn't answer at first. He looked out the cracked window, scanning the fog. "Because my own team might be coming for me now. Once they find out I went off mission, they'll mark me as a traitor." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we're all hunted," Cole nodded. "Yes, but I've been hunted before. I know how they think." She wanted to believe him, but deep down, her trust still trembled like a fragile glass. She watched the small blinking device on his wrist. Every few minutes it flashed faintly. She didn't know what it meant, but it made her uneasy. When Cole stepped out to gather supplies, Lyra approached his bag. Inside, she found a communicator hidden under a folded jacket. The light on it was red. It was still active. Her heart froze. She picked it up and listened. A cold voice echoed through the static. "Agent Cole, confirm position. Backup arriving in 20 minutes. Secure the purple targets." Lyra's chest tightened. "Secure the targets." It felt like a knife twisting in her stomach. She dropped the communicator back and ran to her sister. "Neri, wake up. We have to leave now." Neri blinked weakly. "What's wrong?" Lyra's voice shook. "He lied. The human called his team. They're coming." By the time Cole returned with a box of old power cells, the sisters were gone. He noticed the communicator light blinking fast and cursed under his breath. "No," he muttered. "Not like this." He crushed the device under his boot, cutting the signal. Then he ran out into the fog, searching the dockyard. Lyra and Neri moved quickly along the waterline, their feet splashing through shallow puddles. Lights from search drones passed overhead. The hum of engines filled the night. Lyra pulled her sister behind a cargo crate, holding her close. "Lyra," Neri whispered. "What if he was trying to help?" Lyra shook her head. "No, they always say that before they betray us." But deep inside, a small doubt whispered in her mind. The way Cole had looked at them, the way he had risked his badge, could it be possible he was telling the truth? A beam of white light swept across the dock. Voices shouted orders in the distance. Metal boots clanged against the ground. Soldiers were closing in, then a shadow dropped beside them. Cole. His face was tense but calm. "You shouldn't have taken that," he said quietly. Lyra raised her knife. "Stay back." "I heard your message," he shook his head. "That wasn't me. They tracked the signal from my old badge. I destroyed it. But they're coming here now. You have to trust me." She hesitated, blade still trembling. "Why should I?" "Because if I wanted you dead, I wouldn't be standing in front of you," he said, voice steady. "I've already turned my gun on my own people once tonight." The roar of engines grew louder. Dropships were landing nearby. Cole pulled out 2 grenades and handed one to Lyra. "If they break through, aim for the drones first. I'll cover your sister." Lyra stared at him for a moment, then slowly took it. "If you betray me again, I'll end you." Cole gave a small nod. Fair enough, the battle came fast. Searchlights tore through the fog. Blaster fire filled the air. Cole and Lyra fought side by side, firing, dodging, running between the containers. One of the drones exploded in a burst of blue light, shaking the ground. Neri crawled behind the crates, clutching the crystal drive. Her voice was faint but determined. "Don't let them take it, Lyra, promise me." "I promise," Lyra shouted, firing again. When the smoke cleared, the soldiers were retreating, but Cole was bleeding from his shoulder. He sat down against a wall, breathing hard. Lyra knelt beside him. Her anger faded into something else, confusion, fear, maybe trust. "You could have run," she said softly. Cole gave a weak smile. Didn't want to miss the fun. For the first time, Lyra believed him. Maybe this human wasn't like the others. But above them, in a command tower far away, a voice spoke through a dark room. "Agent Cole is compromised. Initiate Protocol 0. No survivors." The real betrayal was only beginning. The night was almost gone when the gunfire stopped. Smoke drifted over the ruined docks. The air smelled of burnt metal and fuel. Cole pressed his hand against his shoulder where blood still oozed, but he didn't slow down. He followed Lyra and Neri through the maze of tunnels that led under the city. Lyra walked in silence, her face tight with worry. Neri leaned on her arm, tired but still holding the small glowing crystal drive. None of them spoke until the noise of the city faded above their heads. Only the steady hum of deep machinery surrounded them now. After hours of walking, they reached a massive iron door. Lyra pressed her hand on the scanner beside it. The door opened with a deep groan. revealing a hidden world, the underground of Tarvax 9. Inside were old chambers filled with broken computers, flickering monitors and alien symbols carved into the walls. Long cables ran across the floor like veins. It looked like a forgotten lab. "This place," Cole said quietly. "What is it?" Lyra looked around, her eyes full of both pain and pride. "It used to be a research shelter. My mother worked here before the humans took control. They studied energy links between our species. It was peaceful once." Neri placed the crystal drive on a console. The screens flickered and files began to load. Data, images, and documents filled the walls in a cascade of green light. Cole stepped closer, scanning the screens. His face hardened as he read. "These are the human labs. Experiment codes, patient names, alien children used for DNA fusion tests." Lyra's voice trembled. "They called it Project Harmony. But it wasn't harmony, it was control. They wanted to build hybrids, soldiers who could survive any planet." Cole stared at the list of test subjects. Line after line showed young alien names, all marked as terminated. His chest tightened. He had joined the Force to protect life, not destroy it. "So your sister," he said quietly. "She was one of them." Lyra nodded. "They tried to change her cells. They said she was special. When the lab fell apart, I stole her away. I couldn't save the others." Cole looked at Neri, who sat quietly, her silver eyes reflecting the screen's glow. "And now they want her blood to finish the program," he said. "Yes," Lyra replied. "But her blood can also stop it. This drive holds a code that can erase the entire database. Once uploaded to the central net, every secret, every experiment will vanish." Cole took a deep breath. "Then that's what we'll do." Lyra looked at him sharply. "You're human. You'd be destroying your own people's work." He met her gaze. "If this is what my people have become, then maybe it deserves to be destroyed." For the first time, Lyra didn't argue. She walked closer, studying him. His wound was still bleeding. She tore a piece of her scarf and wrapped it around his arm. "You talk like us now," she said softly. Cole smiled faintly. "Maybe I've spent too much time with you." Suddenly, the old speakers in the chamber came to life. A cold voice echoed through the walls. "Agent Cole, you can't hide. Your signal is still active. Step away from the aliens and surrender. This is your last warning." Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us," Cole cursed under his breath. "We have to move. If they breach this place, we're finished." Neri's voice was weak but steady. "Wait, I can send the data now. Just buy me time." Cole and Lyra nodded. He took position near the entrance while Lyra powered up the defense shields. The door shook with the first blast. Dust rained from the ceiling. Cole fired at the shadows outside, his blaster lighting up the tunnel. Lyra fought beside him, her energy bolt slicing through the darkness. The air filled with heat and noise. Behind them, Neri's hands moved fast over the console. Lines of code ran across the screen. "Almost there," she whispered. Another explosion hit. The lights flickered. Cole shouted, "Now, Neri!" The crystal drive flashed brightly, sending a signal through the main network. The power surge was so strong that every light in the chamber turned white for a second. Then silence. The screens slowly faded to black. Neri fell forward, exhausted. Lyra caught her and held her close. "It's done," Neri whispered. "The system's locked. They can't restart it." Cole looked at the dark screens and exhaled. "You just erased the biggest crime in the galaxy." Lyra looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "No, human. We just freed the truth." But in the control room above the city, a shadowy figure watched the system shut down and smiled coldly. "Let them think they've won," the voice said. "Activate the trackers. Bring them back alive. The victory was only the beginning of another hunt." Sirens echoed across the underground. Red lights flashed through the tunnels like pulses of blood. Dust shook from the ceiling as heavy boots thundered above. The soldiers had found them again. Cole checked his blaster, the last power cell half drained. Lyra held her plasma knife tight, her eyes burning with defiance. Neri sat weakly against the wall, the glow of the crystal drive fading in her hands. "They're coming fast," Cole said. "We need to move now." Lyra helped her sister stand. "There's an exit behind the reactor shaft. It leads to the old Skyway." Cole nodded and guided them through the maze of rusted corridors. The air was thick with smoke and heat. Sparks flew from broken wires as the city's old power lines came alive again. The deeper they went, the louder the chase became. Neri coughed as they climbed a narrow stairwell. "They won't stop, Lyra. They'll never stop. Lyra tightened her grip. Then we make them regret chasing us, Cole looked back. I like your attitude, princess, she glanced at him. I'm not a princess. Tonight you fight like one, he said. The stairwell opened to a wide chamber filled with giant turbines. The wind howled through the cracks, carrying the scent of ozone and fire. They crossed a narrow bridge of steel that trembled under their steps. Behind them, voices shouted orders. Blue searchlights cut through the dust. Blaster shots hit the walls, throwing sparks. Cole fired back, covering the sisters as they ran. Keep going, he yelled. Lyra dragged Neri across the bridge. A plasma bolt struck near their feet, the explosion shaking the walkway. Metal bent and part of the bridge began to collapse. Cole jumped forward and grabbed the railing as the floor gave way beneath him. For a second, he hung over the abyss, fire and machinery roaring below. Lyra dropped her weapon and reached for him. Cole! He caught her hand, his grip tight. Don't let go. She pulled with all her strength, and with a final push, he climbed back up. They fell to the floor together, breathing hard. Neri smiled faintly. You two argue even when you're saving each other. Cole grinned through the pain. Keeps us alive. They moved again through a broken gate and into a wide tunnel that led to the surface. The ground trembled as the sound of engines grew louder. Drones swarmed above the exit, their lights glowing red. Cole took a deep breath. They're blocking the way out. Lyra looked at him. Then we go through them, he smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. They ran out together. The night air hit them like ice. The city skyline burned in the distance, towers glowing red under the emergency sirens. The drones fired streams of energy, lighting the streets like thunder. Cole rolled behind a broken hovercar and fired upward, hitting one drone. It exploded, falling in sparks. Lyra sliced another drone with her plasma knife, the energy tearing it apart. But there were too many. The sky was filled with them. Then Neri raised the crystal drive high. The faint light pulsed stronger, reacting to the chaos. I can overload them, she said. But I'll have to stay here. Lyra turned sharply. No, you're coming with us. Neri shook her head. If I link this to the network, it'll create an EMP pulse. It'll shut down everything, the drones, the trackers, even their weapons. You'll have a chance to escape. Cole stepped closer. You'll die, Neri. She smiled softly. I was never meant to live long. But you both can. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. You're my only sister. Neri reached out and touched her cheek. Then let me protect you for once. The air buzzed as the crystal began to glow brighter. Lyra turned away, pulling Cole with her. We can't waste her gift. Cole grabbed her hand and ran. Behind them, the tunnel filled with light. A deep hum shook the ground as the pulse burst through the city. Every drone in the sky froze, their lights dying at once. The world fell silent. When the light faded, Cole and Lyra stopped and turned back. The entrance to the tunnel was gone, buried under stone and smoke. Lyra fell to her knees. The night wind carried the smell of burnt air. She's gone, she whispered. Cole placed his hand on her shoulder. She saved us. She saved everyone. Lyra closed her eyes, silent tears falling. For a long moment, the two of them just sat under the broken sky. Far in the distance, the city lights flickered weakly, half the systems dead from the blast. For the first time in years, the human-controlled sectors went dark. Cole looked up. She bought us time. Now we finish what she started. Lyra wiped her face and stood. Her voice was quiet but firm. Then we end this. Together, they disappeared into the shadows of the ruined city, heading toward the government tower where it all began. The final battle was waiting. Dawn came slowly to Tarvax 9. The first light of the twin suns touched the ruined skyline, painting the metal towers in gold and red. Smoke still rose from the destroyed sectors, and the streets were silent. The war of the night had ended, but the real battle was still waiting. Cole and Lyra moved through the empty streets toward the central government tower. Their clothes were torn, their faces covered in dust. Neither spoke much. Every step reminded them of Neri, of the bright light that had taken her away. Cole's arm was still bleeding, but he didn't care. His mind was clear now. He wasn't a cop anymore. He was a man chasing truth. Lyra walked beside him, her eyes cold but full of quiet fire. When they reached the tower gates, armed drones lay scattered, dead from the EMP pulse. The main door was half open. The system was weak. They stepped inside. The hall was wide and silent. Giant screens flickered with static. In the center of the room stood a control core, a crystal engine taller than any human, glowing faintly blue. Cole stared at it. That's the network hub, he said. Every command in the system runs from here. Lyra stepped closer. Then this is where we finish it. They climbed the stairs to the control deck. The sound of their boots echoed like thunder in the empty space. Cole pulled out his blaster and checked the charge. Once we upload Neari's data, everything they built will crash. Their records, their labs, their weapons, all gone. Lyra's voice was soft. And you'll lose everything too. Cole smiled faintly. I already lost what mattered. She looked at him, her expression changing. For the first time, she saw not a soldier, but a man who had chosen conscience over command. As they reached the console, the air shimmered. A holographic figure appeared before them, the director. His voice was calm but full of steel. Agent Cole, the voice said, you've done enough damage. Step away now and we can erase your record. You'll live. The alien girl can live too. Lyra's hands clenched. You murdered children, she said. You made monsters and called it science. The hologram ignored her. Cole, she's manipulating you. You think she cares about you? She's just using you to destroy humanity's progress. Cole stared at the image. If this is progress, maybe humanity needs to fall. He raised his blaster and fired. The hologram flickered but didn't vanish. The director's voice echoed louder. You can't kill an idea, Agent. Lyra stepped forward, placing Neari's crystal drive into the console port. The lights turned white, the system humming as data began to flood through the network. Alarms screamed through the building. The director shouted, Stop it! You'll collapse the entire system. Cole aimed his weapon at the power core. That's the point. But suddenly a blast hit from behind. The shock threw him forward. Soldiers had arrived, storming through the hall. Lyra grabbed the console and tried to finish the upload, but sparks flew everywhere. Cole stood, pain burning through his shoulder. He turned to face the soldiers. His voice was calm. You want me? Come get me. He fired at the nearest ones, giving Lyra time. The hall filled with light and sound. Every shot echoed like thunder. One by one the soldiers fell, but Cole was hit again and dropped to one knee. Lyra turned. Cole! He looked at her, blood on his lips, and smiled faintly. Finish it, Lyra. Don't let her die for nothing. She pressed her hand against the control pad. The crystal flared to life, its energy spreading through the tower like fire. Systems shut down one by one. The director's voice screamed in static before fading away. The power core cracked, white light spilling out in waves. The tower began to shake. Cole reached for Lyra's hand and pulled her toward the exit. They ran through the collapsing halls, metal falling around them, fire chasing their steps. When they burst outside, the tower exploded behind them, the light rising like a new sun. The blast wave rolled through the city, wiping out every drone, every control system, every trace of the experiment. They fell to the ground together, the light fading above them. Lyra turned to him. You're hurt, Cole smiled weakly. I've been worse. He pulled his badge from his coat and placed it in her hand. Keep it. A reminder that not all humans follow orders. She looked down at the badge, tears filling her eyes. You could have run, Cole. He shook his head. Running never changed anything. His voice grew softer. Promise me you'll build something better. Lyra nodded slowly. I promise. He smiled once more and closed his eyes as the twin suns rose. Lyra sat beside him for a long time, watching the light spill across the ruined city. The wind carried the scent of ash and morning rain. Around her, silence stretched, peaceful, heavy, real. When she finally stood, she looked toward the horizon and whispered, You kept your word, human. She walked away into the rising sun, holding his badge close to her heart. Far behind her, the tower smoke curled into the sky, and in that quiet dawn, humanity's sins burned away with it. The story of the human who defied every order would live across galaxies as a whisper. Don't arrest my sister. And that whisper would become hope.